When I think back to the Vancouver 2010 Olympic Games, and I think about the conversation that took place in Canada about legacy, it began many years before the staging of the Games. And had we not done this, it is quite likely we would never have been given permission to bid for the Games in the first place. Our governments would have seen this as not something that they wanted to support. So the idea was to present a case that would contribute greatly to the future of the country. To build for tomorrow and not just for today. We did our homework, and one of the legacies that we wanted to establish from the beginning and keep under the microscope to the end was to be fiscally responsible, to deliver on that key promise that often gets organizing committees into difficulty. We promised in that stage that we would grow the importance of sport in Canada. Our performance as a winter sport nation had been mediocre in the years before this, and we promised that that would change, that we would invest in sport and grow its importance, not just for Olympic and Paralympic athletes, but for all children everywhere in the country. We promised that we would grow the importance of partnerships, that the Olympic Games would not be about an organization of a few people, but an organization made up of all people, that we would invite everyone to participate in some way to stage a successful Olympic Games in 2010, to let everybody in, wherever we could find a contribution from whatever part of the country, that we would try to take advantage of that so all Canadians could feel that they made a contribution to this great Canadian story. So what did we do? Well, we delivered the Games on time and on budget. We kept those promises under the watchful eye of the Canadian public, and we delivered those Games on time and on budget through the worst financial meltdown that any of us can ever remember. That was a promise we made, and although it was extremely difficult, the expectation was there that we would do it, and so we did it. The country felt like this was their project, so when the big challenges came, everybody felt it was theirs. This was what I like to think of, this was an act of legacy. Everybody felt that they were involved. We didn't just say, this will be good for you. We actually engaged every person in the whole spiritual experience of staging the Games. We have no complaints about a lack of transparency. We have no complaints about not involving Aboriginal Canada in the staging of the Games. We have no complaints about the promises we made, because the public feels that we did what we set out to do. If you can achieve that much, you're on your way to having a spectacular legacy that lives on for a very, very long time. In my opinion, when we talk about legacy and we use the words social, economical, and environmental, the word we need to add to the list is behavioral. It's the way you go about this, the way you bring people together, the way people see you, the humility of how you do things. The legacy exists in everything we do. If someone said to me, what would you have hoped was the greatest of all legacies coming out of this? I would hope that 20 years from now, 25 years from now, our children in Canada would look back and say that what they did in Vancouver in 2010 mattered, and that what was left for them was impressive, and that they were given a better chance at life because of the staging of the Games, that they can look back with great pride and admiration for the opportunity that they would be given. And I think it's a great measure of a society if we can leave things better for the one that follows us. Thank you. I look forward to your questions later on. Thank you.